So, uh, some time has passed yet again. I've done a lot of things in the fortress, as you can see, just by looking at the stockpile. Quite radically different now than before, actually. First of all, this middle layer here between the old fortress and the new fortress I'm making, I'm trying to make a combination of a maintenance access, sort of a machinery area for clockwork and plumbing, and also a stockpile area like up here, which just so happened to be the best area to build an extension for the stockpile because it's just one sea level below the last one. And then down further you can see that construction is taking place in the eastern wing for residential, and a lot of people are already pretty happy with their houses, but of course the population has risen to 71 now, and I'm still running low on houses. However, actually taking a second look, food and drink are better now than ever, which is a good sign. It would indicate that this miniature farm I have is working well enough, strangely. Also, the library seems to be pretty popular. I need to eventually expand upon it because I think that's going to be a major source of well-being, both mental and intellectual, for the dwarves. Further down, I'm trying to do some branch mining on this level where I found the first ore vein. And further down you see this ore vein is still being mined. And then even further down, this is the furthest I've gone, to level 62. And on the surface, I'm actually walling up this part along here, trying to make sort of a dam in this valley, only it won't be holding back water, at least not yet. It will be sort of like a natural barrier so that we can have some sort of tactical advantage over invaders. Also up over here is where I'm building the reservoir, along this area. And that's where I'm going to store all the water. Oh yeah, and over here we killed an Etten. Off camera, I made one melee squad, who are mostly wrestlers, and one archery squad, which are crossbowmen, and I sent both of them after the Etten. 2 squads of 10 each, that's 20 dwarves. The Etten didn't stand a chance, and didn't even cause a casualty on one of the dwarves. And so, actually, one of the dwarves became a hero by being the one to kill it, I think, which I named the Destroyer, quite aptly. And also, I placed this marker here to denote, and also this statue as a memorial. And actually, there's the Etten's body right now. We could actually take a look. Anyway, actually, one thing that would be a good idea to do is continue building up this wall right here, going vertical. So that's going to be more progress for later. I think I'm only going to have the 2 entries right here and here into the upper fortress, so that the rest of it I don't even need to worry about. Maybe I can build some segregating quarantine gates in case there's some kind of breakout of something, so that I can block off certain parts of the fortress. Hopefully that's not necessary anytime soon, though. I wasn't expecting to get a military functioning so quickly, though, but I figured out I actually have a lot of copper battle axes in reserve, and also some meager armor as well. And I had a lot of crossbows and bolts because I was trying to build up the hunting economy. so that way the archers had a lot to work with, which was also a bonus. You see the Etten actually came from the southwest up around that wall, so that was the best path it had. Also, this above ground experiment with this farm here, I'm not exactly sure how it's going. I suspect pretty well though. And you can see the logger is still clearing out this area of trees so that we can finally put in the reservoir. A lot of trees are blocking the way for walls to be built. And I think the pump stack should be right along here. Because that's just the most natural location for it. The progress has mostly been slow and casual. You see, there's a lot of stone smoothing happening around here, which is giving these dwarves a lot of training in smoothing, which is making them more useful for other things like mining and engraving, I think. Perhaps not engraving, that might be a separate skill. One thought I had was to build above ground housing up here, but then I soon realized that would be undwarf-like, and so I decided against it. If I was to build freestanding buildings out in the open, I might as well do them in a cavern I dig out underground. At least then it's not so heretical. Also, as you can see, the water is frozen because it's winter. In fact, seeing in the top right, it is midwinter of the year 251, which is 1 year in. Well, technically it's, I think, 2 years in, or almost, because we start in spring. And so we've seen 2 winters now. And as you can see, these gates I have wired to these levers here so that I can activate them at will. And they have inspired me quite a bit to start looking more into other things I can do with these mechanisms, like perhaps minecart logic or hydraulic logic to make some kind of a redstone computer in Dwarf Fortress. Now, that would be fun. Everything that's been happening after that Itten attack has been slow, but that's not necessarily a terrible thing. As you can see, there's a lot of nice work being made that would be impossible in a state of constant war. Well, unless you had a dedicated military section, and then a division for doing work underground. Actually, while I'm here, I should designate all of these rooms to be mined out. You can actually go pretty fast with this if you get into the rhythm. Yeah, that's the important part. There, and so that's going to be, hold on a second, let's measure. That's 16 new rooms. And now we can resume. And those will be dealt with later, probably after we're done mining out this. Yeah. There's going to be a lot more stone for the industry as well. I wonder why they're not using wheelbarrows, though. That's very strange. Eventually I'm going to need to set up a minecart network for transporting bulk material to and fro. Also, good news, these workshops are actually functioning according to my plan with the manager. It seems that, yes, these jobs are being spread pretty evenly across the workshops, and now I just need to worry about making sure that the workers do the work, because as you can see, some of these workshops are unpopulated, and that's quite suspicious. And the dining hall, I just remembered. Good time to fill that out some more. Hold on. There. Also, after I've set those manager orders, thankfully there has been no shortage of things like chairs and tables and doors like there was before. Usually, how quickly I could build up these places depended entirely on my influx of tables and chairs. Going to build out the library some more, and actually I would like to see if there's anything in these bookcases. Apparently not. That's odd. What if we inspect with this? No, nothing. I don't actually know what exactly the bookcases do or what they're there for, but I put them in because it's a library and it makes sense. Which, if you can succeed at the game just with intuition, then that's a sign of quality for the game. Oh yes, and since the dining hall is so opulent due to my design of it, the dwarves usually feel a lot better after they come out of the dining hall. Although, one thing I've been meaning to do is set up display cases and put artifacts on them to make them feel even better. And I have a feeling that all of this morale reinforcing will eventually make them so mentally strong that their mental fortitude will allow them to do even greater things, especially in battle when mental fortitude is a big problem for the dwarves. One thing I really wish I either knew how to do or was in the game, because I don't know if it is extending these buildings in directions without needing to press the U and K keys so many times in a row. I wish I could just hold them down. Or better yet, hold shift and then press it to fully extend it. That would be even better, I think. Or, no, actually both would be the best option. And so that's going to be more of the reservoir filled out. And you can see the dwarves are scurrying off to their work. I find it strange, though, that I've only had one attack, and it's been an Etten since I've been here. Since we've been here, actually, to be correct. Oh yes, and since the walls are so near to the materials that they need to be built, namely the trees we felled, this is going to be built really quickly. Oh, look at that. Built in seconds. Wait, what's happening? I saw that. Don't act like I didn't. Let's take a closer look. Wait, what? Which one did it say? Katen. Why don't you have a better name than that? It's difficult to pronounce. Now where is you? Is this you? Yes. Let's take a look. This dwarf was traumatized by the battle with the Etin. Yes, and so they're becoming somewhat mentally weak. Yes, this dwarf I think is traumatized. That would make them, I think, a little bit less effective than a normal dwarf. Unless they have special skills, of course. So they just cancelled their own job because they were horrified, reliving a past experience because of their PTSD episode. Nice. And so that's something we're going to need to be wary about now. What if the dwarf that's having the episode is something like a medic? Now that could end in disaster. Or what if it's a broker in the middle of trying to trade? Oh yes, I should still be building up this wind farm. I'm being wary of what exactly can happen here. I don't know if dwarves can actually travel over these squares that look empty is the thing. Or if they'll be chopped up by the blades, which is what I'm trying to be careful of. I might as well just try filling them out all at once just to see as an experiment. It's only 1 or 2 dwarves that might die, at least. And we have plenty to spare, so it's not a big deal. One thing I would like to do is actually let me do that right now. I want, where is it? X, floodgate. I want a floodgate right here in the reservoir so that I can drain it really fast. And I think that would be funny. That would be something to do later. We could close up all of our gates and then drain the floodgate reservoir down into this valley over here, and maybe we can lure some invaders into this area before we do it. Yeah, that would be an epic prank. Also, we're probably going to want to have a lever for controlling that floodgate right here. That's a good spot. I should be able to remember what that lever goes to. And since it's inside the fort, yeah, there's no danger of it being in the line of fire, of course. But I suppose I would probably want to build some other structures around it to make it more visible. It's still very strange to me that you can't build floors under things like buildings, and really strange that you can't build walls onto floors. I would think that that would be something you should be able to do. And that's going to be a stone floor there. I might also put a statue next to it so that the lever pulling dwarf is pleased by the surroundings of the lever. I think it's much more efficient to carve the stone and wood into blocks before using it. Smaller, so they're carried faster, but also I think 4 blocks per raw material, and each block counts as 1 raw material equivalent. So that's 4 times as useful as before in one respect, and also another respect. So if you consider that as multiplicative, that's 4 times 4, that's 16. 16 times as useful, that's unarguably better. So wait, has it been built yet? Or... no. We're taking another look at the industry. Things are looking good. The stocks look up. Yes. We're looking at bars, which are almost always a metal we want. We have about 100 bars, it says. And that's also good. What else? Whoever the bookkeeping dwarf is, they're not doing a great job. I need to actually look at that right now. No, not in there. In here. So, the bookkeeper is and of course his asset is both the manager and the broker, because the broker is a very small part-time job, and so he has plenty of time to do managing when he's not broking, and so it's a waste of space to make anyone else the broker. The mayor? I didn't know we had a mayor. That must have happened while I wasn't paying attention. Taking a look. It wants an office, a dining room, chests, cabinets, weapon racks, armor stands. Interesting. It wants decent quarters instead of modest quarters. Wow. I might just put him in the stocks instead, just for fun. Might put him in the reservoir and fill it. Export of slabs is prohibited. Oh yeah, well I think you're prohibited. How about that? I'm your overlord. Yeah, deal with that. Anyway, what were we doing? Oh yes, the bookkeeper. I want to see... I wonder if having a better office would make it so that he works better. What's this? What do we have here? Oh, population has risen by 1 point. That's good. So, how would you raise the quality of an office, per se? Now, what if we put it down here and then smooth the stone around it to make it so that it's not in essentially what is a dirt hovel? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares. 5 tiles square in area. And then we can have another one just down the hall. There. I think that's enough for modest office. And then we can also engrave the walls to make it even better and put in statues. I don't know if cabinets help, but I'll probably try putting those in. In fact, I also want to put cabinets into these rooms down here. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, the F is the cabinet key. Just as a test, I want to put one of my only cabinets in here to see what it does. Actually, I'll put them all in here. No, just 4 actually. So that we can see the effect of having a cabinet. Also, I think it would be nice for these rooms to have doors. It seems like in Dwarf Fortress, the more you have, the more you need. Which I'm sure is actually entirely accurate to the situation. You have more gold now, but that means you need a bigger stockpile, which means you need more miners, which means you need a bigger food and drink industry, a bigger dining hall, more rooms, Oh, you want to carve out more rooms, that means you need more miners, which need more rooms. Cancels construct building. Oh yeah. Let's see where that is. Hold on, where's my cursor? Oh, here it is. Now, which building is it? It better not have actually cancelled the order, because that would make me furious. I would not be happy. If you're going to not do something, don't cancel the order, just delay it. Will you dwarves never learn? It's not that hard. Ah, yes, another one. Yet another one. And so our population is at 474 now. That's ginormous. We're going to have such a strong workforce. We're going to be unstoppable as a civilization. Now what's this? It is. I would appreciate if you would stop doing weird things and then attracting my interest over things that are almost meaningless. Oh, here we go again. Yeah. Yeah, so our population is now at 76. I just casually raised the population by 4 points within, I think, a single season. You're not cutting down these trees yet, even. There's two... No, wait, there's only one tree. There's a tree in the way of building this wall here, which is critical to the construction of the reservoir. Which reminds me, I'm going to need maintenance access ladders in and out of the reservoir as well, while I'm building it. I'm thinking about maybe I could have this be a giant aquarium where I can put aquatic and amphibious creatures. That would be fun. I could have a giant squid or an octopus, if I could find one, that is. Oh, what's this? Oh yeah, yet another. Which brings it to 77. Well, at this rate, I think we might run out of space again. Actually, we've already run out of space, that's why I'm building more rooms. I think I maybe should have... Yeah, I think it was probably a mistake having these dwarves engrave everything down here before mining out these rooms. Because even though it makes it look nice, it takes forever, so the rooms take forever, which means dwarves go forever without having rooms. Which means... yeah, which means that they don't have fun. Why are you eating in the library? I see that. Don't act like I don't notice. We need to expand this library, it's getting packed. We need to expand everything, actually. This is ridiculous. Hold on a second. I want to see something. The statue here. I want to see the details. Nice, I can specify the image, of course, actually. Can I do that in management? I would like it to be a random image so that I can at least have interesting things happening around. Ah, yes, here it is. And so now, hold on a second, if we go back in, Well, I'm pretty sure it worked, so from now on I think we'll be able to have statues that have images on them instead of just being, like, what is that? The Omega symbol? Well, as cool as that is, Omega only goes so far, unfortunately. You know what really irritates me? I'll show you. You can't build floors under these tables and chairs, so now they're just going to need to deal with having a mud floor. And what's more is, in order to build walls to replace these mud walls, you need to dig out these mud walls, so the room goes a little while without having walls if you want to replace the walls. And what's worse even than that, is that you need to do that for every room. You need to dig out the walls manually and then manually place the walls every time. You see, a lot of orders are being cancelled at the smithy because they need coal. Oh yeah, I remember now. Yesterday I was busy building up these things here. I want to put in an order for the manager to make charcoal. Want it to be an infinite order, perpetual, and also to make sure it never gets cancelled permanently. I can go under conditions, make it from a one-time order to restarts if completed, check daily, and then now that's a real perpetual order instead of an order that gets cancelled whenever the dwarf feels like, which is, in my opinion, heresy. Oh yes, we're getting visitors constantly, and so this is a human visitor coming from the southwest. I think we can see them coming through. Or maybe they already came through. Well, no matter. It looks like the wind farm is complete and nobody got chopped up in the blades, so that's reassuring. Checking the power level, we can see that it is at 240, which is a highly composite number, which is the opposite of a prime number. Specifically, it is 2/3 of 360, which is a famous number for being highly composite. One of the most highly composite numbers that are small and easy to work with, and so that's why it's used in the degree system for measuring angles. So actually, if I put in, let's see, 3 more of these wind turbines, that will be 360 power level, which will be the number that is so. Where am I even going with this? Anyway, one thing I would also like to do is build water wheels right here, at least 3 of them. Actually, I think now would be a good time to channel this out a little bit here with actual channels in order to open up space for more water wheels so that I can have 5 water wheels and make sure that it's all traveling in the right direction as well. I don't want it, traveling diagonally to the wheel. I don't know what effect that would have, but it's probably not great. Oh yeah, one thing I'm going to want to do later is, mostly for fun, but also for industry and infrastructure, is channeling out artificial canals and then having a floodgate system for controlling them and a pump system also. Not a lot of activity up here, but they still haven't chopped down these trees like I told them. Who do they think I am? Some kind of a not even a leader? Well, yeah, technically I'm not sure if I am, or perhaps just some kind of disembodied will enacting forces on the world. That's never actually made clear. I wonder if these gates can actually act as good floodgates, these bridges here, the drawbridges, because they can be raised and lowered too, and they're bigger, so they can have more throughput. Yeah, that's probably a bad idea though. I probably shouldn't even try. Maybe I can make a moat though, that would be fun. Have a moat. Although if I ever wanted to get rid of the moat, I would need to put in screw pumps and drain the moat, which that could be a pain. I haven't even made any screw pumps yet, so I don't even know exactly how they work, but I guess I'll figure it out when the time comes. And look at that. Finally, you are getting a promotion. And you would be wrong if you thought I was kidding about that. You are going to be named the Initiative, because you're the only one around here who has any. Actually, I would like to capitalize that last word as well. There, that looks much more powerful. And so you are, from now on, the Initiative. Congratulations. So now we have two special dwarves we have named in the fortress. One of them is a heroic warrior, and the other one is the most productive worker we know, or at least we think he is. He's the first to get out here and do any real work on this lower part here. Oh, and look, since I promoted him, everyone else is out here too now, trying to look good. They think I don't know about them and their antics. I actually clear-felled this entire area inside the walled area, but trees keep growing back, which I guess is a good thing for getting more wood, but it's also overgrowing and causing things to get kind of overgrown, to put things simply. Oh yes, this lever is now complete, finally, I just noticed. So I can add a new task to link a floodgate, and link this floodgate using these mechanisms. And that's that. And I can also, like I said before, build a statue here. Just as an aesthetic, detail. And if you don't put those into a fort, all you have basically is a box made of smaller boxes, like a giant organism full of organs. And you see, I put the statues outside of these gates here as well, to make them look better, and it actually works. Trying to think of what else I can do to improve this area up here, and I think I actually have an idea. What about a paved road? I like roads. I think a lot of people like roads. And so I can put those around here to make these places look better, even better than before, because right now they look kind of dysfunctional. There, let's see if they actually build it this time, because I tried to do this earlier and they just ignored it, which I assume was because they were trying to do something else that they thought was more important. But whatever the case be, wow, look at all of that industry. I see pipe sections, mechanisms, tables and chairs and statues, boxes and bins and barrels, minecarts, wagons, buckets. Oh yeah, I can actually order the dwarves to be bucket crew and bail out areas. I think, yeah, that's actually where that terminology came from. To bail out is to use buckets to unfill an area of water. I guess look at that, they're bringing resources to it, so I assume they're actually working on it. That's good. So I might be able to actually do that the same thing over here, so that they'll get around to that as well. Although I don't expect them to finish it very quickly. These are pretty big areas they're trying to fill. And so actually, that's actually going to help with the caravan access, because trees aren't going to grow where there's a road, or at least not if it's a good, well-maintained road. I know some roads where there are trees growing right in the middle of them. But that's just poor design. And if I'm anything, it's not a poor designer. Yes. Look at that dwarf using a wheelbarrow like a smart person. And look at those other dwarves carrying the logs like idiots. I think I spoke too soon, because that dwarf with the wheelbarrow went straight through the river with it. That river, I think, is actually 1 tile or 2 tiles deep. So that's not great either. I put a bridge there for a reason. You'd think they would actually use it for something. But apparently not. I guess they think they're just too good to use bridges. Actually, I need to check something. I thought maybe these buildings were set to a low priority and that's why they're not being constructed, but now I realize that's not the case, or at least I don't think it's the case. Oh yeah, another thing I need to do is build grates down here in the river so that things can't swim up through it. That's a design flaw on my part. Actually, do we have any grates? What button is grates again? Oh, wall grate here. Yeah, it needs grate. Yeah, we're not making any grates. I can fix that. We can make a rock grate, or a wooden grate if we really wanted to, but I prefer making things out of stone. For obvious reasons, it's just a better material in general. And and just ask any dwarf and they'll agree. Totally not rigged, of course. Hold on a second, what other things have I been meaning to build but haven't? Bars? I don't know what bars are even for, honestly. Yeah, I think they're supposed to be exactly like a grate, maybe? Isn't a grate and a bar, a wall, basically the same thing? I think I need to look that up later, because this is mystifying me. I am befuddled. What else do we have in this menu? We have instruments. We could put those in the dining hall, I suppose. And maybe a grand piano, that would be fun. The supports for having things that you want to be able to drop by pulling a lever, like giant rocks. That's fun for traps. Or for just crushing chambers. Animal traps for capturing animals, restraints for holding the animals in place, cages for cage traps to capture basically anything, if you have the resourcefulness to figure out how. Archery targets for training archery, that's fun. Traction bench, I'm pretty sure that's Like that one medical thing that's like a bed but deployable and portable. And nest boxes, I think that's for animals. Hives for bees. Actually, how do you do hives and bees? I don't actually know. Display furniture. Needs display object. Oh yeah, the displays. For that we need windows, and for that we need glass, and for that we need sand. And I don't even know where to get sand right now. Actually, I think I can set a workshop to collect sand, which is kind of strange. Although not really, in terms of Dwarf Fortress logic. Oh look, I think this is finally being paved. Yeah, they're being there long enough, it looks like they're building it. Yeah, looks like maybe they partially built it, and now someone else is building it the rest of the way. Well, whatever is happening there. While that's happening, I'm going to look at the water wheel. Oh yes, probably a good idea to bring some horizontal axles up to that position there. So, oh, that's strange. Where I channeled that out, it doesn't like being there. Weird. Very weird, actually. But I'll just put this axle right here for later. For when we build in the water wheels, which will be even more power for us. Wind wheels are free power, of course, but water wheels are even more free power, so why not take advantage? In fact, that's one of the reasons why I built this fort on a river, is because I knew water wheels existed, and also I knew I could pump water from the river and have that be pumped into a reservoir up here. In fact, those were plans before I even put the fortress here. Oh look, an elven caravan. I wonder if they have anything valuable this time. Last time they came, they had trash. Absolute garbage. Unforgivable. Now, let's see, what do we have to trade that doesn't have wood in it? Because elves don't like wood, apparently. That's a barrel, so no. These are all in barrels. I guess we could put liquid in jugs instead of barrels, I think, which are stone. This is ridiculous. Basically everything we have is wood. And you never notice until it's time to notice. Well, even our metal bars are in wooden bins. Can you make a stone bin? Actually, I'm curious. Now, let's go down to the workshop level and take a look at what the mason's workshop capabilities are. That one's actually filled out. So, taking a closer look, we have actually, no, it's not in here. It's where is the crafts workshop? I put one here. There it is. So in rock, can make jugs and pots, and hives. That's nice. Pedestals. Oh yeah, that's a type of display, isn't it? Maybe I should add that to the manager orders. And the jugs and pots, I think, are for kind of a rock equivalent of bins and barrels, maybe. And that's just for the elves. I hope that's the case, because if not, then I don't think you can trade liquid with the elves. because everything is in barrels. I'm just going to quickly... What was it? Oh yeah, I remember how it's spelled now. That took too long. Suspiciously long, even. I also want to experiment with the pots and jugs, actually. Or should I look them up instead? I'm not sure, actually. I'll do it anyway, just in case. I might as well. The worst thing that can happen is that we waste resources and time, which we have plenty of anyway. So it's not that bad. Yeah, once you do these things that are really repetitive enough times, you become so fast at it, and it becomes such second nature, that it's almost like breathing. Which is an interesting effect, actually. Oh yeah, we were trading, weren't we? Oh, but look, this is being built finally. That's something we can look forward to. And what will they buy that they won't be abhorred by? Wait, can we take things out of bins and then sell those? Or those things that are not in bins? It's such a pain, though. Having a fort that doesn't have anything to do with carpentry or wood is ridiculous, and the elves should know that. They should understand the dwarven sensibilities. And look at all the things in this bin, actually. It's filled to the brim. I didn't know bins could hold so much, actually. Basically everything we have is made of wood. Well, we have been clear felling, and that means we need to do something with all of that wood we got. So, you'd think logically that's ultimately what would happen. I don't even think we can empty these bins, so I don't even think there's anything we can trade with them. I would love to just lure them into the reservoir and then fill the reservoir and then collect everything that they have after they've been finished drowning. That's basically all they're useful for. Well, I guess I could seize their goods and go to war with them. That would be fun. And they live just northwest of us, too. That would be a pretty fun war. I think we should finish building up the rest of this upper fortress, though, first. Maybe set in some traps in a labyrinth somewhere. Before we go about starting something that we can't really finish very well. Yeah, we're just going to be ignoring them this time, though. They don't have anything particularly useful. I already know that. I know them. That road down here is already making this look a lot more professional, which was exactly the intent. You know, it'd be funny if we just cut down all of these trees here littering the inside of the fort right in front of them. I think that would send a pretty clear message. Why aren't these walls being built? Still. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cancel these construction orders and then reassign them, because I'm tired of waiting, and I think doing this will help. I think doing this will reset the behavior and allow them to recognize that there is something they need to do for once. There. I think one problem I have is I don't usually look at the dwarves' preferences and their personality traits that allow them to do certain things better than others, and I also don't pay the heed to actually assign them carefully to jobs. Usually I just blanket assign them to do whatever, and then they do whatever, and then that works good enough. And so I'm not wasting hours doing something that no one should be doing. Now that's probably not good for anyone's sanity even. And why is this Etten corpse still here? I thought they would haul that away somewhere, or maybe dissect it or something. But I guess it's fitting that it would just remain there as a monument to our victory against it. That's actually pretty nice. What is that, actually, down there? I think that's one of our lambs that got starved for some reason. Sometimes animals starve for reasons that I don't understand, and I find it funny and also really disappointing, because I imagine they're useful for a lot of things, like shearing them for their wool that can make textiles, or maybe milking them for cheese or something like that. Some kind of industry related to them. Checking the time, it's actually been an hour already. I should probably stop before I dive too much more deeply in. This is enough for now, but I really want to make this water wheel. Fine, I guess we can make the water wheel before we leave. Oh look, it's just because it was acting weird. Yeah, that explains that, at least. Funnily, however, I don't think these water wheels require mechanisms. So that's something you can build early on without needing engineer workshop. There, and that's all those constructed. And then we can continue this horizontal axle here in this direction to make sort of a preemptive power grid. That would be nice. I would actually like to run the axles above the ground so that they're not in the way. But of course, that requires a lot more effort, or maybe underground in this sort of interstitial layer here. It probably will later, or perhaps, no, what's most likely is I'll just build bridges so that things can go under them in certain places. But that's enough. No more